as recently as 2018, interest on excess reserves was at the top of the band, sort of dragging the Fed funds rate up. Over the course of the adjustment since last year, it's moved steadily down, closer to the bottom of the band. So if you're moving it back up, how high do you want to get it? Are we looking to get interest on excess reserves at the top of the band again as the Fed fund rate moves to the middle of the band? And should we see movements in IOER as an indicator that we're approaching ample?
So our stated goal is to keep IOER and the federal funds rate well within the range. That's it, well within the range. And that clearly, 5 basis points from the bottom or from the top isn't that. So that's why we moved back up. You're right. Last year we saw some tightness as reserves were draining out of the system. We saw the gradually moving up, and in hindsight, we know what was happening. With ample reserves, we see that it's possible to bring the interest on reserves rate up to 10 basis points. So now we are well within the range, I would say.
We are. So you don't think that as Fed funds goes back up towards the center of the range, that IOER is going to end up at the top?
Don't know that. We want it to be well within the range. I think we'll continue to adjust it to the extent it's appropriate. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is deliver a federal funds rate that's well within the range. IOER is just a tool to do that. If we need to make changes to keep it well within the range, we'll do that. It just means, the thing that matters for the economy is that we keep the federal funds rate, which is the rate that, of course, transmits into other money market rates, which ultimately transmit into all kinds of financial conditions. That's what we care about. So ultimately, we will use that tool to keep it well within the range.
Thank you, Howard Schneider with Reuters. Just to sort of close the loop on one thing, where do discussions stand on a standing repo facility? Because what you've said so far sort of implies that there won't be one, or there'll be a very limited one. So if you could just, let us know where that discussion stands. And also, sorry about that. Did you get the question? Did you hear the question okay?
I did.
Okay,
I'm not sure your colleagues did.
Where the discussions stand on standing repo. That was great. And the other thing is on the standing repo facility and on the purchases, Treasury bill purchases, as you enter this new regime later in the second quarter or later in the year, will that be pre-announced by amounts? Will there be preset amounts like you're doing now, or will that just be something that people will have to sort of intuit and figure out as you go along?
So I'll go in reverse order. When we make decisions about the steps we're going to be taking in that adjustment process that I described at some length, we'll be making them as early as we can and as transparently as we can, and specifically. But we're not at that stage. It's January, and we're several months away from that. In terms of the standing repo facility, as I mentioned in my my answer to an earlier question, there may well be a role for repo in this system, even after we're at an ample reserves level. Now, we haven't decided what that role is. We have not decided. We haven't at all made a decision on the standing repo facility. We haven't. We've had a couple of discussions about it, as you know, back in, June and October, and there's a range of views. We're going to return, I would say, fairly soon to this question, and I think it was wise to wait because we're still getting a better sense of what that world looks like. And, it's really going to be a question of how useful will it be, what will be the costs and benefits. And my thinking is we will return to that fairly soon. And I wouldn't assume a decision one way or the other. Really, we haven't made one because we haven't had to. And I think when you delay, you get more information by waiting. It's good to wait. We don't have any urgency in making that decision because we're still trying to find that sort of stable equilibrium where we're in an ample reserves regime.